welcome. You're watching the biggest exclusive tonight with me, Grihatul Siddiqui. Remember how we've been talking about the rising COVID cases in China and how top health experts are suggesting this can spiral out of control by a monumental proportion, killing more than 1 million people through 2023. This, of course, should get India thinking, since we don't want to go back to where we were when the Delta variant hit and led to the deadly second wave that the country witnessed. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia thereby held a high-level review meeting with top officials and health experts today to chalk out the strategy to prevent another spike in cases in the country. Let's first break down what came out of that very meeting. So India has held this COVID review meeting. Let's actually take you through the key takeaways. Number one, they're talking about strengthening surveillance because it's very, very important to look at the new variants and then devise public health measures. Mask up in crowded places is what is being suggested. Even if you're traveling, please go and use your mask. Ramp up genome sequencing. Like I said, there's very important to know what variant are we looking at. The meeting also talks about the key variants that are prevalent. There is Omicron, which is still there. They also talk about BF7, which is the dominant variant. 10 COVID variants are still there in the country. As the health minister also said that COVID has not gone yet. Omicron and Delta variants still prevailing. This is something that has been underlined from this meet. And they also say that the situation is currently under control. This, however, wasn't step one. The alarm bell strangely rung, but were they not slightly delayed? Despite the COVID surge being reported out of China ever since it first rolled back many of its zero COVID restrictions in early November. So why then wasn't the stock taking meet done promptly at that time itself? And more importantly, why before this meet the Union Health Minister thought it were best to first write to Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, asking him to ensure COVID protocol is followed in his Bharat Jodo Yatra, or in fact go ahead and suspend the Yatra in national interest. That was what was suggested to him. The Congress, but of course, is calling this BJP's usual ploy for diversion. They have also now sought to know what the protocol is, as India has eased all the COVID norms, such as the mask mandate, over the past year. Let's take a look.
कोविड अप्रोप्रिएट बिहेवियर रखिए, सिम्टम आते हैं टेस्टिंग कराइए और प्रिकॉशन डोज लगाइए।
भारत जोड़ो यात्रा में गए हुए कई लोगों को कोविड पॉजिटिव पाया गया है, तो उसके लिए प्रिकॉशन लिया जाए, कोविड प्रोटोकॉल का पालन किया जाए।
बीजेपी खुद विचलित हो गई है, डिस्टर्ब हो गई है और होना स्वाभाविक है। जो सफलता मिल रही है यात्रा को,
And before I open this debate to my guests, let's also first look at what did the Union Health Minister write in that letter to Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. Let's actually chalk out those points for you that have come out of that letter. COVID guidelines should be followed in the Bharat Jodo Yatra, he says. He also goes on to say that masks and sanitizers should be used. That needs to be followed so that COVID cases do not spiral out and specifically do not come out of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Only vaccinated people should be allowed to participate. Now, how does that one take care of that is something that he's not mentioned. However, he has addressed the same thing in the letter. Yatra should be suspended if protocols are not followed. Now, that's something that he underlined and he suggested that Rahul Gandhi should go ahead and do. Now, remember, this particular letter is dated December 20th when the Yatra was still in Rajasthan. The letter also refers to 3 BJP MPs from the state having written to the minister to express concern. But now that the Yatra has entered Haryana and is going to be in the national capital in just a couple of days, the Congress is alleging that all this is an attempt to disrupt the Yatra considering the traction that it's getting. So we are asking, advisory for Bharat Jodo, is it a protocol or politics? Taking this across to my guests who join me on the broadcast, Ms. Anila Singh of the BJP is with us, Meeta Chakrabarti of the Congress Party is also joining us, and also with us is senior journalist Sabha Naqvi. Let me take this across to you, Ms. Anila Singh. The fact that there is yet no advisory, why first go to the Congress talk about how COVID protocol needs to be followed in the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
My Ram Ram to everyone, and it is simply an appeal. All right, via letter. And if Congress party doesn't want to entertain it, then it is their problem. But later on, if something bad happens, then they have to own the responsibility as well. This came into notice, and especially by the member of parliaments of who come from Rajasthan, that few of the people or some of the people who attended Bharat Jodo Yatra, when they came back, they were found infected with COVID virus. So it was a request from their side that health ministry should issue the guidelines about COVID protocol, and this is what health minister did. And this thing has been issued to all the states of our country.
Ma'am, that's what I'm trying to understand. And this is the question that I put to you. I'd again rephrase it. When it comes to advisory, taking stock of the situation, don't you think this particular meeting should have come up first rather than going to, let's say, a Congress party, asking them adherence to COVID protocol in their yatra, because obviously this is the mass movement. Don't you think that should have come first? Or for that matter, if you're looking at COVID advisory, travel restrictions, masking up, all of that should have come to the nation first rather than just going to the Congress and then talking about how there are COVID cases that are coming out of people who are attending the yatra?
No, you are absolutely incorrect.
How is that?
The advisory has been issued for the airports, for the international travelers, and advisory has been issued to all the states and union territories of our country as well. So it is not about Congress. Why Congress is thinking so much about itself?
Okay.
But yes, Bharat Jodo Yatra, people, they get together. Huge crowd is there, then definitely as a responsible government, it is the duty that they should be precaution. They should be told that yes, cases are in surge, and whole of the world is now is on red alert now. Even in our own country,
talking about the state of Rajasthan, there have been Jan Akrosh rallies that are being undertaken by the BJP in the state alone through the month of December. What about that? Why no advisory for that?
Do you think that if COVID guidelines are being issued, then Bharatiya Janata Party will not come in that fold? For us, nation is first, not politics. But definitely for Congress, it looks that politics is first, then nation.
Okay, Meeta Chakrabarti, I'd like to bring you in here. The fact that BJP claims that Congress has made a hullabaloo over the situation. This is just an advisory. This is just a suggestion that was actually made by the health minister in regard to the growing number of cases. In fact, the surge that China and other countries are witnessing. Why not take it in a positive light?
Okay, good evening to all your viewers. Firstly, I would like to thank my colleagues in BJP for acknowledging that there are huge crowds coming to Bharat Jodo Yatra and that the Yatra is receiving a lot of love, affection. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is receiving a lot of love and affection on the ground, because initially it was being said that it's receiving a lukewarm response, or it is just receiving a good response in parts of South India. Now we are in the heart of in the heartland, and the fact that they are rattled by the response that Bharat Jodo Yatra is receiving, it's only but obvious. That's my number one point. Number two, we very recently, and I thank you for pointing this out, we saw a Jan Akrosh Yatra in Rajasthan. We have seen political yatras being taken out by BJP in the state of Karnataka. We see the parliament in full session when no one is wearing a mask. We see no one wearing a mask within an enclosed space inside a flight, because there is no such guideline, there is no such compulsion inside the airport, in crowded marketplaces. But only an advisory is being issued specifically in a letter written to Congress party. So why is Bharat Jodo Yatra being singled out? Number three, is it because that BJP as a political organization is rattled by the response that Rahul Gandhi ji and Bharat Jodo Yatra and all the Bharat Jodo Yatris are getting on the ground? Is it because of the survey reports that they're receiving from states like Rajasthan, like Madhya Pradesh, like Maharashtra, and of course the states down south, that they want to put an end to this yatra? They want to make it more difficult for this yatra. Bear in mind, this yatra has already covered almost 3,000 kilometers. It is in the final phase. And finally, I will conclude by saying that we are a responsible political organization. Of course, if there are any specific guidelines being issued to us, we will take that into consideration. As I said, we are in the final phase, only a few more states to go, about 500 more kilometers to go till we reach our destination. And we will keep into consideration.
Okay. I'd get Ms. Anila Singh to answer that. I'll get Ms. Singh to answer.
Just 10 more seconds.
Okay.
Just 10
All
more
right.
seconds.
Please quickly make your
We
point.
saw
Meeta.
in March 2020 as how the first lockdown was delayed by a few weeks by BJP because they wanted to get rid of the Congress government in Madhya Pradesh. They wanted to topple the Congress government in Madhya Pradesh.
Okay, hold on to that point. Meeta, hold on to that point. Let me actually bring in Sabha. Let me bring in Sabha. Sabha, do you think the way BJP, for that matter, is taking cognizance of the Bharat Jodo Yatra from first talking about it as being, a non-entity to talking about it only recently, just today, we've had Amit Malviya also tweet a video of Rahul Gandhi, talk about his behavior in the crowd, all of that. And plus this advisory by the Union Health Minister specifically writing to Rahul Gandhi. Do you think BJP is really rattled with the Bharat Jodo Yatra from saying that it doesn't make a difference to now?
Look, as far as the advisory goes, if we are facing another emergency, then it behooves the health minister to send an advisory to Bharat as opposed to the Bharat Jodo Yatra. So that will draw attention. But the question of COVID protocols and all is a very sensitive matter because of the economic slowdowns and all implied in that, if you said that. So why have you picked on the Bharat Jodo Yatra? Now, the BJP is extremely strong in the areas where the Yatra is now going through in a national contest. So let's understand that. So I wouldn't say the BJP is rattled as such, but I would say that the BJP is irritated by the Bharat Jodo Yatra. And in fact, I'm somewhat baffled that why an advisory to a yatra, to a program of a political party, as opposed to Bharat, which the Bharatiya Janata Party is ruling. Let us know. Are we supposed to not interact with each other? Are markets supposed to empty out? Be clear. Tell us. Why are you telling someone in an open air space, walking in open air, which is relatively safer than in closed rooms, talk about this? So there is a double standard here. And if we go to the history of lockdowns, let me just tell you that when political activity was first allowed after the first lockdown, the first election to take place was the 2020 Bihar election. And the BJP office in Patna was highly infected and they had to disinfect the whole place because of political work at that time. So these are just facts. I'm just saying, send Bharat an advisory, not an internal political event of an opposition party. Then it does look petty.
So when you say that, Sabha, when you say that, do you think we should go ahead and question the chronology? Because then we'd also seen the Union Health Minister come out, address the media, and then explain as to why he ended up sending that letter. Why did he have to do that if there was no issue?
No, exactly. So we, tell Bharat why the Bharat Jodo Yatra, it will be put together. Tell us what the issue is.
Okay. So Anila.
Are we not supposed to walk around with crowds? Should schools be careful? Should colleges? All these issues come up. So
let the advisory come in. Okay. Anila, let me actually come back to the point that Meeta was making. It's now that the Bharat Jodo Yatra has entered Haryana. It is going to be in Delhi on the 23rd. Now, Congress is saying BJP is rattled with the Yatra, and that's why this is an attempt to go ahead and suspend the Yatra in the name of COVID protocol. Do you think, in case there is a spiraling of cases, unfortunately, if that were to be true, this is also an attempt, so to speak, that is what the allegation that's being made, to make Congress the fall guy? Why is this being done?
See, for the consumption of Congress party and senior journalist Sabha Naqvi, one said that we are rattled, other one said I am baffled. So let me tell them, first of all, if Bharatiya Janata Party was rattled or baffled from this yatra, any sort of conspiracy would have been hatched a long time back, or action has been taken long time back. But we are not rattled. neither we are rattled nor we are nor baffled or any
So
other.
by saying that BJP is irritated, now I want you to address that very point.
I said I am baffled. I said I am baffled.
Yeah, she just said the BJP is irritated. The fact that, yeah.
All right. So rattled and baffled, perhaps Ms. Naqvi might be baffled,
okay,
and Ms. Chakrabarti might be rattled. But the thing is, we are neither rattled nor baffled because of Rahul Gandhi, because we know it very well. The popularity of Rahul Gandhi was reflected in Gujarat elections, MCD elections,
Also in
and
Himachal.
in Himachal, they just won 5.9%. So you very well know,
40-25.
anybody with the little bit of IQ level can understand Rahul Gandhi may be a challenge in his own party, but for Bharatiya Janata Party, he is not any sort of challenge. But the thing is,
That's not true.
this COVID virus is challenge for us, and the advisory has been issued to each and every state and union territory, Ms. Naqvi. I think you do not know about it. That is why you are saying that why we are targeting.
So Anila,
Bharat Jodo
I'll come
Yatra.
back to the same
So
question.
each and every state
I'll come
has
back to
been
the same
advised
question.
and you have to take care.
Anila, let me actually
If
bring
the
in, let me actually
crowd
pull
is
up
there,
this graphic
we should
that we
follow
have
protocol.
actually prepared. One second, Anila. We'll just pull this graphic up for our viewers. The kind of surge that China saw, it is not a December phenomena. It is certainly not a December 20th phenomena. These numbers had begun to go up in November itself when the first set of zero COVID protocols were being lifted. Now, we have these reports that we have actually filed for us where China has reported about 9,000, over 9,000 new COVID cases, which was going up from the 8,000 it had reported just a day earlier. Beijing also has been reported the semi-lockdown that was lifted. The cases, in fact, had went on to hit. All these reports have come out from November. Do you think this COVID protocol, this meeting, this review meet, the stock-taking meeting that was done today, shouldn't it have been done much earlier? If India is actually looking at the situation?
It has been done today only. How do you know that it has been done today only?
Well, the
I
Union
mean,
Health
this
Minister
is
is
very
supposed to
important.
address the
Hold
media,
on.
and we are
Can I say
asking you
something?
why.
Do you think that the
Can I
agencies
comment, please?
working
Yeah.
in a country, they were not keeping an eye?
We were not told, there was no protocol when all those people crowded on that bridge in Morbi.
Can I comment, please?
Okay, Meeta, yes, please go ahead, Meeta.
What?
From this coronavirus.
Okay, Meeta.
Can I come in, please?
Yes.
Yeah. What Mrs. Anila Singh just said is even a matter of greater concern. So what if there has been an advisory that has been issued, but it is a very poor reflection on the communication department of the Indian government that people are not aware? So our market's supposed to, slow down. Our market's supposed to, are people supposed to wear masks in crowded places, but they're not wearing. I have been a frequent flyer. No one asked us to wear masks inside the airport or inside the flights. So my limited point is that what you are saying is much, much a larger concern than just issuing an advisory to Bharat Jodo Yatra. And as a concerned citizen, I would like to ask you, ma'am, that why is the communication of the Indian government so weak that people of India are not aware that there are new advisories in place? Number one. Number two, when you just pick up one yatra, as I said, that there are two more political yatras going on by the BJP in the states of Rajasthan and in the states of Karnataka. But when you only pick up one political yatra of one political opposition party, then obviously people will ask you that why are you so rattled with the popularity of one yatra? Why not the yatra of BJP in Karnataka and yatra of Rajasthan? That's done by your own political
Anila,
party.
please
Why are you
respond.
not
Anila,
stopping it?
please
Or
go
have
ahead.
you
This
given
is a
them
problem with
advisory?
Congress
Number
party.
three, as you
That is
continue,
why I
Meeta,
call-
you made your point. Meeta, you made your point. Let her respond.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is the problem with Congress party. That is why I call it Indian National Confused Party. I just told on your
You are
channel,
the confused
and
one right now.
everybody
Meeta,
knows
let
it.
her answer, please.
Everybody knows it that the government has issued advisory to Congress, to all the states, and airports have been asked to follow COVID protocol. Recently, all these developments has happened. Now she is saying, why the communication department of
Ma'am,
present
she's
government
not
is so
going
weak?
ahead and
Why
questioning
people
that.
are
You
not
just
knowing about
mentioned
it?
how
Madam,
you just
it has
questioned me.
communicated
You
and
said,
that is
how do you
whole
think,
of the
how do
country
you
will be
think
knowing
there is
it,
no
but you
review
should go
meeting
and
that has
tell your
happened
leader
earlier? I
that
have
he
questioned
should
you on
behave in a
that.
responsible manner.
Anila, the BJP leaders, and we are not just talking about the Jan Akrosh Andolan, the Jan Akrosh Yatra. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Northeast. We're talking about December month. We have seen what kind of a huge turnout that rally had. He was there in Tripura. there were nobody who was masking up at that time. So why, if you're saying the advisory is already in place, why no mask protocol in his rally? And that, of course, can be questioned. Don't you think
what
so?
I am saying, I don't know why even you are becoming a company to these
No,
two
I'm
ladies.
not. I'm just
I
asking you a
don't
very
understand
logical
one-
question.
listen
And
to
I'm
me.
asking a
I
very
got
logical
you.
question. Please
I got you.
don't
You
cast
listen to me.
aspersions at me, because I'm
You
asking a
listen to
logical
me, what I am
question.
saying. Please do not
Please
sit
go
here
ahead.
and lecture. I am here.
I'm not
I
giving
am
you a lecture, ma'am.
representing
I'm not
Bharatiya
giving
Janata
you a
Party.
lecture. I'm
So you
just
should listen
wanting to understand
my side
the
also.
protocol needs to be given to the country, like Sabha said, and I'm repeating the point that she's made. Why
I have
go ahead and
already
corner the
heard what
Congress
you are
party over
saying.
it?
I have already heard what you.
Okay,
what you
please
have
go
said.
ahead. Make your point, ma'am.
I have to respond, not you, not CNN channel has to respond.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
I have to respond. Just now you have quoted Prime Minister of our country.
Yeah.
Just now you quoted and you accused Prime Minister of our country by saying that he was there in Northeast and huge crowd was in his rally. Why COVID protocol was not followed? Just now you accused Prime Minister of our country. Let me tell you, this Bharat Jodo
I did not
Yatra
accuse anyone. I
was-
just made a point, and I'm asking you a question as a member of the BJP. Please go ahead, answer.
In today's date, if we think that yes, the time has come when we should take precautions, a letter has been sent to Congress Party,
Okay.
to all the states,
Okay.
and each and every authority. Or
I
Only
think,
Congress
Anila,
party
you're
is
repeating
taking
your point. You're
precautions.
repeating your point.
It
All right,
is
Sabha,
a
I'd like to
public
I'd like you to actually come in here.
Yeah, I don't
where
want
do
to
you,
get
where
into,
do you, where do you
yeah.
see this going? Because we are looking at a
Look,
very serious
if
situation.
we have a COVID, first of all, beyond the politics of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, if we are going to put protocols, we have to know the scale of the protocols. It impacts our economy, it impacts our children going back to school,
Yes.
to universities. So we'll have to wait for clarity. And, so it's a much more serious issue. So I still believe, I will say this, advisory for Bharat, not for Bharat Jodo Yatra. That is how you operate with dignity, with the glory of your office, because you are in power. Bharat Jodo Yatra is not in power. It's an open air event. That's what I'd say,
Now, do you think the
what
fact that
else
the
can I say?
Congress is actually getting the Bharat Jodo Yatra to Delhi, that timing can be questioned, or should it not be?
Yes. That's what I'd like to say. Actually, if you ask me as a political analyst, I think all of this has happened because nobody understands media management better than the BJP. When the yatra enters Delhi, there will be journalists who will cover it more. It's highly convenient. The Anna Andolan years ago got a lot of traction because it took place in Delhi.
Yeah.
We all know that. So it is entering Delhi. It is time for television news. So another script has now already entered that you cannot crowd, you cannot do this, you are spreading COVID. So I think it's a little bit of that also. It's timed. It's a lot of things are done with timings and news cycles and all in mind. And it's a little bit of that, but COVID is too serious for us to play politics
over.
with.
Absolutely.
And we want clarity. Have we reached the point where we need to do X, Y, Z with our markets, with our jobs, with our work from home or going to office, with our children going to schools, so on and so forth. Not about one letter to Rahul Gandhi.
Okay. So, last question to Anila and Meeta both. Will we see all our parliamentarians, all our MLAs and MPs be masking up from tomorrow, considering there is a COVID situation that we need to seriously look at if there is no politicking over it? Anila, I'd like you to go first. Quickly, please make your point.
I really hope so. But on 23rd, Parliament is getting over. Hardly a couple of days are left. But definitely, if there is an alert from the government, everybody should follow the protocol.
Okay. All right. Yes, Meeta, please.
Well, I'm amused by the way Ms. Singh attacked the anchor of the show just because she mentioned Tripura public rally of the Prime Minister Modi, and that is there in the public domain. We saw the kind of gathering that the rally had. So it's really, really very disappointing, number one. Number two, I would agree with what Ms. Naqvi has just said, that the advisory should be for the country, should be for Bharat and not for Bharat Jodo Yatra. Don't just pick out one particular yatra of one particular political organization. We are very responsible. We are there to stick to all the advisory guidelines. But Be uniform in your communication, be responsible. You're holding a responsible office, and please live up to the expectation of that office.
All right. Important point that has been made by all the speakers. Thank you so much for joining me on this very important debate.
Thank you.
Now, let me actually talk about public health challenge of COVID-19 before I end this broadcast. It still persists around the world with around 35 lakh cases that are being reported weekly. Now, in India, Delhi has recorded over 20 lakh COVID cases and 26,519 deaths since the pandemic started in early 2020. Now, let me bring in Dr. Sunila Garg to talk about how does one look at it through an India perspective, considering we are talking about the surge in cases in China. Dr. Garg, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. At first, I'd like you to actually let me understand the fact that there was a special review meeting that was chaired by the health minister today. Certain things have been put out, although there is no specific advisory that has yet been released right now. So how bad do you think that the situation is going to be, considering we're looking at things not just in China, but in other countries as well?
India is in a better situation because you see in Indian context, we have large number of people who are vaccinated as well as naturally infected as compared to, when we talk of situation of China, where, due to zero COVID policy, people were isolated and, other people could not get even natural infection as well. And as far as, the vaccination strategy was concerned, though China claims to have vaccinated, around over 300 crores of individuals. But then we do have the picture also that, over 80 years of age, people were, vaccinated to the tune of about 60%. And the second dose was to the tune of about 56% and all that. So against all of this, it is very important that we need to, the meeting is also, re-looking at our systems. It is looking at the genomic sequencing about, we've got 54 INSACOG labs across the country. So we should be cautious about doing the, genomic sequencing. And another fact is that because you see, when the virus multiplies suddenly, it may also mutate, even though if it is in the neighboring country. And we do have cases of BF.7 in our country as well. So it is very important that we must have, timely review of the situation, and against which it was rightly done so. And it was also, decided in that meeting that, apart from, having genomic sequencing, we should have the track of, surveillance, containment and management. That is important strategy, which has helped us in earlier COVID waves also. And plus, following COVID appropriate behavior, that is the need of the hour. And fourth is that also those who have not taken the booster doses should be taking the booster doses as well.
Ma'am, considering you're also talking about the dominant variant of COVID that India is currently looking at, the BF.7, it's also, however, the time of holidays. People are going to go ahead, travel. They are going to be involving themselves in crowd situation, also partying. Do you think this is something that the government has to look at an urgent level? How soon do you think that the restrictions should go ahead and kick in?
I think basically one thing which you're missing, which I told you, was that systems are in place. We do have, lessons learned from 3 waves of COVID. We have our vaccination in place. We have treatment protocols in place. We do have our oxygen requirement met through OxyCare Cap. We have telemedicine facilities in place. We do have home management guidelines in place if the need be, and plus to manage the surge capacity. Everything is in place. But we cannot put the people to panic overnight and be scared of the situation. But what is important from the scientific perspective is that we continue to monitor the situation, continue to do genomic sequencing, because India also is getting about, less than 2,000 cases in a week. But then, let's say about 200 to 300 in number. But then, we have to see that now we are talking of weekly positivity, and we can also talk of bi-weekly positivity also. That is important. So we have to keep a watch on the situation and do not panic unnecessarily.
So what do you suggest, ma'am, that people on their own should do so that they go ahead and follow that COVID appropriated, required behavior?
Yeah, it's a very important question. Again, I'll say that, COVID appropriate behavior was a blessing in disguise. If you will see that this is a winter season where otherwise also we would see large number of cases of asthmas, and also because of pollution part, and also, large number of cases of influenza as well. So that is important. So against respiratory tract infections, masks are otherwise also effective. We will see the example of Japan where all of them wear throughout, the mask. That is important. Another very important practice is, to follow hand hygiene. That is otherwise also helpful in protecting us from diarrheal disease. In fact, that helped us in promoting, this.
All right. So mask up is what Dr. Garg is suggesting. I'd like to thank her for joining us on the broadcast. And with that, it's an end on the broadcast. My colleague Shivani is up next with Plain Speak.